Okay,
call the meeting to order. Start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please have roll call, Maureen.
Mr. Bumble?
Here.
Mrs. Lee?
Here.
Mrs. Hett? Here. Mrs. Royal? Here. Mr. Krings?
Here.
Mrs. Medina?
Here.
Thank you, Maureen. We'll start with the student rep report. Carissa?
This weekend we have Fire and Ice, so we're voting for Ice Prince and Ice Princess. And the polar plunges was this weekend. We had 14 students from East Junior High, and with the highest student donating 1,275 pledges. There was also some teachers who were going to jump who did jump. $1,000 was raised, more than $1,000 was raised. So Mr. Keach, Mr. Pilla, and Mrs. Frederick agreed to plunge. And if $2,000 was raised, Mr. Adams, Mr. Close, and Mrs. Grant were also joining in. And from Lincoln High School, we had some students from the student council, and together we all raised $2,212.06. So we also had two Japanese students, Melanie Miller and Anthony Quanos, got third place in the state competition for the Japan Bowl at UW Milwaukee on January 31st. Also, FCCLA members have regionals this month, and boys hockey won conference. We were also recognized out of 22 other high schools for raising the most blood and saving the most lives. The ACT took last Saturday, and college placement exams are coming up for seniors. So.
Wow.
So what do you do with the money that was donated from the Polar Plunge? Is that targeted for something?
Yeah, it's all going to
Special Olympics.
yeah, Special Olympics.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Great.
I'd also like to congratulate Carissa on becoming a WIA official, a youth official. We need young officials in the WIA, and she reffed 4 games at my tournament on Saturday. So congratulations, Carissa.
Basketball.
Excellent. Congratulations.
Basketball?
Basketball. Yes.
Thank you for your report, Carissa. So we can move on to approval of the minutes.
Okay, I would make a motion that we approve the regular Board of Education meeting minutes of January 12th, 2015.
Second.
Okay, we have motion and second to approve the regular Board of Education meeting minutes of January 12, 2015. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The minutes are approved. Maureen, do we have any comments from the citizens? Okay, we can move on to committee reports. John, would you like to give the business service?
I certainly will. Our meeting was 3 minutes, and I'll try to do this in 30 seconds. We started at 6 p.m. There was no public comment. We had no consent agenda items, and we reviewed 3 purchases that we had approved earlier. One is for the floor finish. The other one was for the DPI Teachscape, which we do get reimbursed from the state. And the last was for heater parts for our building out on 25th Avenue.
Buildings and grounds?
Those people need heat out there, so we had to get some updated heaters and more efficient heaters.
Too much of.
And with that, our meeting was adjourned at 6:03, and I submit the balance of my minutes for approval.
Second.
Okay, motion is second to approve the Business Service Committee meeting minutes from February 2nd, 2015. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. The minutes are approved. Thank you, John. Next, we'll go on to personnel. Sandy?
Personnel Services met last Monday, February 2nd, and from that meeting we had no public comment, and we have 3 consent agenda items, and they are as follows. The committee recommends and I move to approve the 4 support staff appointments. Second, the committee recommends and I move to approve the 2 staff resignations. And then we had an action on food service substitute pay increase. And the committee recommends I move to approve the following pay increase effective January 30th, 2015 for food service substitutes to a new rate of $9.50 for a substitute helper and $10 for a substitute head cook, substitute service cook, substitute second cook, substitute a la carte cook, and substitute baker. And just a little background on that pay increase. There has been no increase for that group of people for over 5 years. It's very difficult to get subs in these positions, and this money does come from Fund 50, which is a food service fund. Julie Marie came and spoke to us concerning this, and this would be less than $1,000 for a whole school year. That's the increase.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion is second to approve PS 1, 2, and 3. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And I move that the minutes of the February 2nd meeting be approved as printed.
I'll second that.
Okay, there's a motion is second to approve the committee meeting minutes of the Personnel Service Committee of February 2nd, 2015. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Sandy. Next, we can move on to Ed Services. Ann?
Thanks, John. Ed Services also met last Tuesday, or Monday, whatever. I'm sorry. We also had no public comment. And our first consent agenda item is about the strategic plan update. Colleen Dickman was there to present updates to the Education Services Committee on the Wisconsin Rapids Public Schools strategic plan. She went through each objective and explained changes, deletions, and additions. Sandy Hett requested that completed objectives not be deleted from the plan, rather keep them as evidence of progress by the district. I guess I didn't ask if anybody wanted either one of these held out. Okay. Our second consent agenda item was about the ACT and the WorkKeys administration schedule. Ron Rasmussen, who's the principal at Lincoln High School, explained the need for an adjustment in the school day at Lincoln to accommodate the ACT and WorkKey testing on March 3rd and 4th, 2015. To administer the ACT and WorkKeys effectively, as well as provide for necessary student accommodations, a minimum of 36 classrooms are required. Mr. Rasmussen explained that the required classrooms for testing will require sophomores and seniors to have a late start. All students could ride the bus and come to school at the regular time. However, during the time the juniors are testing, sophomores and seniors would remain in a supervised setting in the cafeteria or the gymnasium. They would have the option of finding their own ride to school for the late start. Lunch would be provided for all 3 grades on both days. So the committee recommends, and I move that we adopt consent agenda item 1 and 2.
Second.
Okay, motion is second to approve ES1 and ES2. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
We went on to updates then, and Kathy Stebbins-Hintz, our Director of Curriculum and Instruction, updated us on the state's changes to student assessments, how the district is implementing these changes, and how the new test results impact teachers, administrators, and the district. Phil Bickelhop, Director of Technology, was also there to explain changes necessary to computers to enable students to use them for testing. Our second update was on the fall ACT Aspire results from 2014. That's from the grade 9. Kathy explained that all grade 9 students in Wisconsin and at East Junior High took the ACT Aspire exam in October of 2014. Results of the testing were presented and explained to the committee. So with that, the committee recommends, and I move that we approve the minutes for the February 2nd Educational Services Committee meeting.
Second.
The motion is second to approve the meeting minutes of the Educational Service Committee of February 2nd, 2015. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Minutes are approved. Thank you, Ann. Now we can move on to agenda referrals and information requests. Does anybody have anything tonight? Okay. How about legislative agenda? Mary, do you have anything for us tonight?
Sure, a little bit.
A little?
There's quite a bit going on, but I'll just speak up a little bit of it tonight. The last legislative update that was online was January 30th, so it's kind of, well, some of it's a little bit old news because the governor hadn't yet released the budget. One piece I did find interesting, but I did see it in Sunday's paper, so, but I will just read what WASB says with this. According to news reports, the DPI is planning for the possibility that lawmakers may not fund the Smarter Balance test, the online adaptive tests that replace the WKCE and are required by state law as the statewide assessments for English, arts, and math in grades 3 through 8. The Smarter Balance exam is aligned to the Common Core state standards, which Wisconsin adopted in 2010. The cost to administer the Smarter Balanced exams in Wisconsin has gone up because the number of states in the Smarter Balanced Assessment Consortium has decreased as concerns over test implementation and Common Core have grown. At a hearing this last week on a Senate school accountability bill, Senator Paul Farrow, Republican from Pewaukee, said there's a good chance the Smarter Balanced exams won't be used next school year. Also in a letter Wednesday, Senator Farrow asked Evers to ask the U.S. Department of Education to allow Wisconsin not to use test scores from the spring exams for school ratings, sanctions, or teacher evaluations, saying the Smarter Balance test may not be used after the spring. I guess I'm looking forward to next Monday night with our consortium and talking to our legislators, and I think the way we're set up our meeting is going to be interesting. I think we're going to get a lot more. Hopefully we're going to get a lot more information then. At least we'll have discussion. I think for 8 weeks now they will have budget hearings on the budget, so you know things are going to change. And if you saw Sunday's paper, which I looked at tonight before I came, Scott Krug was in there as saying that he didn't agree with the $300 million cut to UW. Didn't say how. He said something would be cut. He didn't know how much, and they would have some autonomy, but not full. So we'll see how that goes. There was a big article on the voucher program changes and also the scaled back standardized tests. So if you want more information, it's in there. But I do think we'll have a good meeting next Monday. So.
Okay, thank you.
Mary, I don't mean to
I know,
say you're,
right?
yeah, no, but there was a legislative update and I actually copied it out
So I
on
did
Friday.
today, and there was, I did it yesterday, and January 30th was the one.
Well, it came to my computer, but it's
So would
just.
you like to?
No, because it is 4 pages of just going over the budget and
Okay.
saying, well, what we have all heard in the news about.
Because I looked again, I looked this afternoon.
Well, maybe my computer's special.
Mine's new, so.
Well,
But anyway.
I got a website. I went to the listening session on Friday with Vandermeer and crew. The budget in brief, if you want to look at it, the website is prosperity.wi.gov. And you can get the budget in brief. I mean, if you want all 648 pounds,
No, 'cause I know that, but-
pounds
yeah.
and pages of that
John, what's
budget.
that?
Say it again, prosperity.
Prosperity.wi.gov.
Okay.
And you can get what's called budget in brief, which is it's about that thick. Scott had it there and showed, if you wanted it, but he said that's where you can get it and get the,
Okay.
the thumbnail sketch of the budget, and it makes a little more sense.
Yeah, and this
So I was gonna print it off and get it, so that we'd have it for the consortium meeting next week.
This one just goes through the educational.
I'm gonna go home tonight and check again.
Well, I can copy this, or
Oh, that's
maybe
a-
more.
It's on there, I
copy.
saw it too. I mean, it just came over the
Friday.
weekend, I think.
Yeah, it comes
Maybe it
on
was Friday,
Fridays.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, I looked after that, so.
Yeah, I'm sure you did, but
Must be in your spam.
Could be.
it might be, because it's a big.
I wish there was some way we could relay to our legislators, and with our consortium coming up, the amount of money that they are directing school districts to waste. Do this, because this is what's going to happen. So we do it, teacher time, materials, computers, and then we're going to change our mind. They did this in the late 90s with the graduation test. I can't tell you how much money this district spent getting ready for that, and that went away. And it looks like the same thing's happening again. It's just such a monumental waste of time and money because they don't know what they're doing. it's just so frustrating. And it's got to be relayed to them, if they would just, hands off. Sorry.
And it's not money we have to waste.
No.
I know there was an article about that over the weekend, and several legislators said that, and I think it was Tony Evers too speaking, that you gotta give it a couple years chance, because we spent all of this training and teachers training and all of this special time and effort and everything else to set it up, because that's what we wanted. And now because somebody's got a different flavor of the week of their Kool-Aid, let's just drop it. So it is frustrating, but there are people that are aware of the cost, but like you said, there's a handful of them.
It's also difficult to get a specific amount, because if you pulled a PO, you would have that very clearly defined. People's time, it might be 10 minutes here,
Yep.
2 hours there, and it's difficult to track.
Phil talked about how to set up browsers, so we've got, time there. The amount of computers we had to buy to just do the testing. I mean, I know we're looking at, we had to get like 70 to 100 new computers just to do the testing.
But that's just one issue too. I know we've got the educator effectiveness, and we've got like all of these different issues that are new, and, a lot of training and.
Changing policies and so on.
Right, so it's not just that one issue either, it's all over the place.
Right.
Well, we'll have some ears here next Monday, and looks like we're gonna have a good turnout of districts, so maybe our voice will be heard a little bit. Okay, thank you. Next, can we move on to the bills?
Okay, I will make a motion that the receipts be noted and the bills be paid as printed.
Second.
Okay, motion a second that the receipts be noted and bills paid as printed. Will you please have roll call, ma'am?
Mr. Springs?
Yes.
Mrs. Medina?
Yes.
Mrs. Rayo?
Yes.
Mrs. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Bembo?
Yes.
Mrs. Head?
Yes.
Thank you, Maureen. Next, we'll go into new business. Item A, possible action on employee appointments, resignations, retirement requests. Is there anything new?
And I just left that on there because
You never know.
at this time of year, we just don't know as people may be resigning or retiring, so.
Item B, discussion and possible action concerning extending the deadline for 2015 Lincoln seniors interested in becoming a technical excellence scholarship candidate as stipulated in board policy 345.12, procedures for technical excellence scholarships.
So, you would have received I don't know what color that is, corn? Maize, the maize, the maize sheet. There was some contact, I think, with Maureen, with the high school principal. And I don't, can I just speak to this? Is that?
You or Kathy were going to.
Go right ahead.
Well, I don't want to take somebody's.
No, you're not taking any.
I'll give them my understanding, and then you can fill in where I maybe missed something. It's the procedure for technical excellence scholarship. There were some new deadlines, some new information that came to us from DPI, and so as it came, we put the information out to students. We are eligible to name 4 students to slots, and only 3 students came forward. So Ron is asking for us to look at board policy 151.4, which is suspending board policy. In other words, could we suspend what we have in this current policy and extend that deadline one more time so that we can get 4 students in addition to some alternates, I guess you call them. He indicated that the 3 students that had come forward would certainly have their names put forward, but then there would be a 4th student possibly selected if there was interest shown, and again, some alternates as well. So it would not affect the 3 students that had already applied.
The only thing I would add is that you just approved the policy for this January 12th at that meeting, and we just received the final information in October and November of this year, so that's why the timeline was so short. So it shouldn't be a problem in the future, but they just really didn't have the time at Lincoln to get the word out. And we want to get the word out, because this is a great opportunity for our kids.
Well, we don't want to forego that 4th slot, because that changes, I think, year to year.
Exactly.
So, based on number of students. So that's our request,
Okay.
that you allow us to suspend that particular policy and give another extension to the students.
Well, then, I'll make a motion to suspend the section of Board Policy 345.12, Procedures for Wisconsin Technical Excellence Scholarships relating to established deadline for students to apply by January 21 of 2015 for the class of 2015, in order to allow for the deadline of the class of 2015 to be extended to February 16th, 2015, so that one additional candidate and up to one alternate may be selected for submission to be considered by the HEAP, H-E-A-P. The 3 candidates already meeting the initial deadline set forth by board policy are approved, and their names will be submitted to HEAP as eligible candidates representing Lincoln High School.
And that would be the Higher
Second.
Educational Aids Board.
Okay.
Just
Thank you. I wasn't sure about that. I was looking for where it was up above.
Okay, there's a motion and a second to extend the deadline for the 2015 Lincoln seniors interested in becoming Technical Excellence Scholarship candidate, as stipulated in Board Policy 345.12. I don't think you need me to read that whole thing over again, do you? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you. And move on to calendar.
She may have been collecting.
Do we know if we're attending the consortium? Is there anyone?
Get a calendar.
Okay.
I'm not sure about Larry. Maybe we could just send him an email and he should
He
respond.
indicated that he should be able to be there.
I thought he said to the last meeting, at
Okay.
our last business services, he mentioned
No,
it.
he's out of town now, but
Yeah,
We'll be holding this at East Junior High,
In the
Okay.
just so you
cafeteria.
know.
in the cafeteria.
In the
Cafeteria?
Yes.
and then
all
also,
the public should be there.
there's a special band concert where we're awarding the Friend of Education Award on Monday, February 23rd. We could have a show of hands of anyone that knows they're going to be attending.
That I don't know yet.
Okay,
I'll let you
Okay.
know.
All right.
thank you.
Guess with that, we're adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Short meeting.